Over the years, many people have asked me, Scott, how do you set up your monitor to work at your productive best and be efficient and also keep your focus? So in today's video, I'm going to give you a brief tour of how I set up my ultra-wide monitor. Now, you may not have an ultra-wide monitor. One of two things. You can still follow along and get some inspiration from my setup, but by the end of this video, you also may see the benefits of using an ultra-wide monitor as well. So let's jump in. First things first, I split up my monitor into 4 different sections. I've experimented with a number of different layouts, a number of different quadrants and slicing and dicing things up, but this is what has worked for me and how I am using my monitor on a day-to-day basis. First and foremost, I have my web browser here that is taking up the bulk of my screen. I would say roughly somewhere around 60% of my screen here in the middle. I'm doing most of my work here within a browser as I'm going through a number of different tabs. I usually try to keep my tab count to about a maximum of 7, but the bulk of my work is happening here in front of me. So what am I doing with these other slivers, these other slices of my screen? Well, on the left-hand side, I'm using it for one of 2 purposes. Number one, I'm using it for ChatGPT. That is my preferred AI model. And I have this up on the left-hand side of my screen almost nonstop. For the majority of my day, this is where I get so much of my work done. I have this open so I can copy and paste things back and forth between my main browser tab or my main window here in the middle and vice versa. I'm actually most often using the dictate function so I can speak the prompts or ask the questions that I'm looking for and dealing and interacting with AI in that way as I'm going about my workday here in the middle of the screen. But the other thing that I'm using this left-hand side for is also for my files and folders. So if I want to quickly and easily jump to a particular document or to a particular file, I can grab it here. This also makes it very, very easy for me to simply drag and drop something into a platform, into Trello, into email, into some other tool that I'm using online. I can bring it here right into the forefront. Now, even though I'm splitting up my screen into these different areas, it doesn't mean that I always have them visible, right? If I don't need my files or folders up, I will often minimize that. And even though AI is becoming a much more frequent part of my workflow and as a part of my day, I don't always have it visible in front of me. I want to stay focused on my main application. About 80 to 90% of the time, that does happen to be my web browser. So lastly, I've got one more sliver here on the right-hand side. I'm actually splitting this up into 2 different areas, which I find very, very helpful. Number one, I often have a notepad, just something extremely simple, extremely quick, where I can grab and input a number of different notes. These are not notes that I'm necessarily going to save. These are often temporary things. I might copy and paste some things in here. I might just jot down a few things. It's more of a quick reference tool. Now, it's not always a notepad. Sometimes it can be other files as well. Sometimes it can be a spreadsheet. If I just drag and drop this over here into the top right-hand corner, I can quickly glance or reference these numbers or reference this information as I'm working with something else. And as you'll notice there, as I'm dragging things, you can see the 4 different quadrants. So I can take any application on my computer. If I want this over here on the left-hand side, it's going to lock into place very easily. More on that in a moment in terms of how I'm making that happen. But whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a notepad, often it's just something quick and easy that I'm referencing here in the top right-hand right-hand corner. Now, if you're enjoying this video and are looking for more ways to simplify your software, why not subscribe right here to the Simpletivity channel? Each and every week, I bring you new content so you can simplify your tools and take back control. And then last but not least, my bottom right is reserved for really a single application. In fact, when I think about it, of these 4 different areas, it's the only one that gets its own dedicated app. And for me, that's my calculator. I use my computer's calculator at least a dozen times each and every day, and so I want to be able to access it very quickly. Now, I'm not actually using my cursor to type in the numbers. I'll always use my number key on my keyboard to type in those numbers and get my calculations. Now, it's not always visible, but it's the only place that I want to see it. And I really don't drag anything else into this lower right-hand quadrant. It's just for my calculator. So on a typical day, this is often what it will look like for me. Again, my main app or my browser here in the middle. I've got AI or my folders on the left-hand side. I've got my quick notes, things I want to grab or reference in the top right, and then my calendar here in the bottom right of the screen. Now, as for software to make this happen, I own a Dell ultra-wide monitor, and I'm just using the built-in software that comes with the Dell monitor. Now, you can find a number of other tools to make this happen as well, but Dell has a section here called Easy Arrange, where you can pick from a number of presets, right? If there's a number of different windows that you want to look at. As I was reviewing these, none of these really fit what I was wanting or what I was needing, so I've just chosen to create my own custom layout that you see here. And again, if I want to expand, let's say if we go back to this spreadsheet and I do want to look at it in full or mostly in full, I can do that here. Of course, I can expand it across the entire screen. Makes it very useful if you're dealing with a lengthy spreadsheet, or maybe you have a project management tool and you want to see all of the stages or all of the columns. That's very helpful as well. But more often than not, I'm viewing my screen in this type of layout. Well, if you have any questions for me, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. And I'd love to hear from you. How many of you are using an ultra-wide monitor, a widescreen monitor, or maybe you have some type of dual monitor or more, 3 or more monitors as a part of your setup? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, you deserve to work without feeling overwhelmed.